Tonight, we journey to the village of Umulokpa, a place where traditions ran deep, but understanding and compassion fell short. In this village, a child was born, a child unlike any other. Her legs, long and graceful even as a newborn, marked her as different. But instead of celebrating her uniqueness, the people of Umulokpa allowed fear to blind them. They whispered among themselves, labeling her a witch. Her arrival was seen not as a blessing, but as a curse. The fear and ignorance grew until they reached the ears of King Udoka, the ruler of the mighty Okija kingdom. So, stay tuned as we bring you the full story of the girl with the longest legs and the greatest heart. Here on Mama Africa Folktale, we honor stories that inspire, educate, and celebrate the unbreakable spirit of our people.
Ah, Mariam, my dear, let me tell you a story. A story about strength, rejection, and triumph. It's a tale that has been passed down to teach us about the value of every life, no matter how different it may seem. It is the story of Ngozi, the girl with the longest legs the world had ever seen. It all began in a small village called Umulokpa, a place surrounded by tall trees and whispers of ancient traditions. One day, a baby girl was born to Mr. Ezeke. From the moment she came into the world, it was clear she was different. Her legs were the longest anyone had ever seen on a newborn. Can you imagine that, Mariam? A tiny baby with legs that stretched far beyond what anyone thought possible. But instead of marveling at her uniqueness, the villagers were filled with fear. "She's a witch," they cried. "This child is unnatural." The people of Umulokpa, blinded by their ignorance, began to spread rumors about the baby girl. They whispered that she was cursed, that her presence would bring misfortune to the entire village.
How could they think that, Mama? She was just a baby.
Ah, my child, fear can make people act without reason. They didn't try to understand her. They only saw what was different and assumed the worst. The rumors reached King Udoka, the ruler of the Okija kingdom, a man known for his sternness and adherence to tradition. When he heard of the baby, he didn't hesitate. He sent his messengers to arrest Mr. Ezeke, accusing them of bringing evil into the village by giving birth to such a child.
But what about the baby? What did they do to her?
The poor baby was abandoned in the forest, left to die. 2 days after her parents were taken away, she was placed on the cold forest floor, crying and helpless. The villagers thought they were ridding themselves of a curse, but they were leaving behind a miracle.
That's so heartbreaking, Mama. Who could do such a thing?
Yes, it was cruel, but fate had a different plan for her. At the same time, Mr. Oyibo and Mrs. Beck, a couple from another country, were wandering through the forest. They loved nature and had come for sightseeing. Suddenly, they heard a faint cry. Intrigued and worried, they followed the sound, and there she was. A tiny baby with legs longer than they'd ever seen, lying alone under the trees.
They saved her, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They were kind-hearted people who saw not a curse but a child in need. They wrapped her in a cloth, cradled her gently, and took her back to their country. They named her Ngozi, meaning blessing, because that's what she was to them. From that day, Ngozi's life took a remarkable turn. In her new home, she was showered with love and care. As she grew, her height became even more extraordinary. She was tall, beautiful, and graceful. People from far and wide came just to see her, touch her, and admire her unique stature. She became a symbol of wonder and fascination.
She must have been so famous.
Oh yes, she was. But Ngozi didn't stop there. She didn't let her fame define her. Instead, she found her passion, racing. Her long legs, once seen as strange, made her unstoppable on the track. She joined racing competitions and defeated everyone she competed against.
Everyone?
Yes, everyone. Humans and even animals. She outran horses, cheetahs, and cars. And then, Mariam came her greatest challenge. She was set to race against an airplane.
An airplane? That's impossible.
Impossible? No, not for Ngozi. The entire world watched as she lined up against a roaring aircraft. The race began, and to everyone's astonishment, Ngozi crossed the finish line first. She didn't just win the race. She broke a world record and became a global sensation. With her victory came immense wealth and recognition. The rejected baby of Umulokpa was now a multimillionaire.
Wow, Mama, that's incredible. But did she ever go back to Umulokpa?
She did, my dear. With her newfound success, Ngozi returned to the village that had once cast her aside. By then, news of her achievements had reached even the most remote corners of the Okija kingdom. King Udoka and the villagers were filled with regret. They realized the mistake they had made in judging her so harshly. When Ngozi arrived, she didn't come with anger or bitterness. Instead, she forgave them. She told the villagers that every child, no matter how different, is a blessing. Her story changed the hearts of the people of Umulokpa. From that day on, the village vowed never to reject any child again, no matter how unusual they seemed.
Mama, that's such a powerful story. Ngozi's strength and kindness are so inspiring.
Yes, my dear. Ngozi's story reminds us that everyone has a purpose, and what makes us different can also make us extraordinary. It's a lesson to embrace others, even when we don't understand them. Who knows? The person we reject today could become a blessing to the entire world tomorrow. Now, my daughter, remember this. No matter what life throws at you, always stand tall.
Thank you for joining me today on Mama Africa Folktale. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next chapter in the wonderful world of African folktales. Remember, every tale we share carries a message, and each message is a gift from our ancestors to guide us in our journey through life. Until next time, may you find beauty in the heart and wisdom in the stories we share.